Satchel from Steel Panther, and you're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he is totally naked from the waist down.
Hey guys, Metal Matt here, back again, here for Metal Stream Radio, and this week we've got a really cool show, some great music, and yeah, some good chat. I'm going to start off with a little clip before I start playing some great music, because I thought you guys might be interested in this. When I interviewed KK Downing back a few years ago, we got talking about touring, and you know, touring is something we take for granted, I think, as metal fans. You know, we kind of don't think about all the hard work that goes into touring often, and the reality of it is just, you know, they're coming back to our town. Oh, we're going to see them when they come in. Why haven't you came back to Canada or England or wherever it might be, you know? Mexico, where I am right now. You know, people are very demanding with tours, and it's like, come on, why aren't you here, But the reality is touring is exhausting, and it's a very, it can be very tough, you know? You know, especially for the big bands who kind of feel they need to really see the world, go around the whole world for the fans to see them, you know, because they got fans all over the world. And Judas Priest were one of those bands, you know, that you know, were touring, endlessly touring, and you know, it's like new album, new tour, new album, new tour. And that's kind of the deal that a lot of these bands have with their record companies and things. You know, they're expected to release, you know, their contract might specify, you know, we need 2 albums from you in the next 3 years or whatever, you know, and that's what they got to do. And then there's a tour, and it's, you know, it's a way of life, it's a job, it's a business, you know, it's all business, the music industry. As much as we'd like it all to be rock and roll and free and easy, it's one big business arrangement, and lots of people are making money. Some people are making no money because they signed the wrong contract. And it's a whole, you know, a whole thing. So, you know, it's not an easy life, I don't think. But it's easier than, you know, working in a bank or a, you know, supermarket or something like that. That mundanity, you know, it's that is where life is tough. So, you know, rock stars are in a privileged position, you know, but doesn't mean they don't get it hard, and you know, that it's quite a demanding. I mean, I've been performing, as you know, I'm a performer, and I've been doing a few gigs around Cancun at the moment, and it is exhausting, the rehearsing, the learning with a band, you know, and getting all the timings right, and making sure everyone's playing everything right, and you know what's coming, you know how many bars something is, and you know if the solo's going to come in straight away, or there's a little interlude, or you know, there's so many little things when you're in a band that you need to be so tight and get to know everything, that, you know, it's tough, you know, and it's demanding, especially when you got new songs, new things like that. You know, you got to learn new songs, you got to make sure everyone's learned it properly, and you know, you're going round and round rehearsing songs, and it's tough, you know, and especially if you're changing up songs a lot, which some bands do, and I have been lately, you know, having to learn a lot of new songs just to do some different tributes, but it ends up taking up all your time. So you can imagine that plus touring the world is pretty exhausting. So like I said, what I'm getting to is we got some interview clip from KK Downing and Judas Priest, who knows all about this, and he's here to talk about what it's like touring. This was a few years ago when I chatted with him, and he's talking about just what it's like being on the road, and where he gets a chance to have a little nap. Let's have a listen.
Hey, this is Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he is totally naked from the waist down.
You would catch sleep wherever you could, you know, if on a bench in a park or a airport or a taxi going to the airport, you would just, you know, you just get, you know, cat naps wherever you could. And if you could, by the time you got to the hotel at the next town or city, you got off the plane or whatever, or the bus, if you got into that bed for like 20 minutes before you had a show to go to the sound check, it was like heaven, you know. But lots of times you get to the gig, you do the sound check, pass out in the dressing room. It was all about that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
Cool. Yeah.
hard. It was hard,
That, yeah.
but that's the price you have to pay for staying up and partying.
That's it, rock and roll. Was there a favourite tour? Well, pretty much all of them pretty fun.
Not really. I've got that. It was all good.
Yeah.
Whether we were supporting Kiss or whether we were headlining with Scorpions and Def Leppard,
Yeah.
supporting. It was good. I talk a little bit how well we were treated by a lot of people. And that's good. Kiss treated us well. AC/DC were fantastic to us. And that kind of makes us. Then we go on to headline, and it makes us realise. You have to treat bands well. Treat them well when they're on the way up, because
That's right. Yeah.
it can easily be reversed at some point. But that's not why you do it. It's just the fact that you do it, as good as you can. Like I say, I don't know if I tell the story in the book. When we were out there with Pantera, and those guys were so funny. We had such a good time. But we couldn't work out quite why they used to form a queue outside of our dressing room every night, and they were queuing up waiting for some beers, really, Can we hand out some beers, It was funny, though. They would unashamedly form this queue. It was kind of funny. It was funny. I was thinking, oh, God, they're out there again. But, they didn't realise, and we certainly didn't realise, but their bus driver was ripping their beers off.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I think Rex tells that story in his book anyway. I think that's something like that. But loads and loads of laugh. It was great to have. It was great to have great support bands that were no problem, fun to have on. And so obviously we would treat those guys as well. Push the boat out, really.
Yeah. That's good. And then,
Because we headline acts push the boat out for us.
Yeah.
AC/DC, we were travelling around in this little van, and they said on the longer journeys, we could ride their bus, their big bus, and it was great. So I'd be there with Angus. We'd be talking guitar strings and all of that. First time I saw gold-plated guitar strings, I think, or something like that. I was on the AC/DC tour bus. So this is it, we're hanging out with a DC, and salt of the earth guys. And it's great when it's like that, isn't it?
That's how it should be, definitely. Yeah.
But there's a lot of the other type of guys as well, the big egos and heads in the clouds.
I'm surprised you said Kiss were quite nice, were they?
Yeah. Kiss, I think Kiss respected and liked us for what we did.
That's nice, yeah.
As kind of new kids on the block. The story goes they were in New York. We were playing 3 nights. Was it called the Palladium? Some old theatre.
Yeah.
So we played 3 nights there. And I think the Kiss guys came down and thought, we'll have these guys on tour with us, which is nice.
Really cool.
Because, the Kiss guys, the Kiss, they might wear makeup and do all what they do, and the songs that they do, but they were well into what Priest were doing musically. I don't know whether they've ever said that, but they would be, because they were kind enough to go, we'll have these guys are good.
That's brilliant.
And we went out there, and it was good, and those guys were good to us.
Nice. Well, that's nice to hear, yeah.
I wouldn't say we had all the lights and sounds and monitors in the world, but it was their show, and we respected that. But they, and it was good. Got to play pool in the hotel with Ace and Peter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And since we've become, not, I wouldn't say good friends, but Gene in particular would often come to Priest's show when we were in town and hang out a bit. Yeah. Very, very cool guy.
Yeah, well, that's really nice to hear. Yeah, nice to know kind of fellow, metal bands that really got on with you guys, and it's nice, nice insight there. Right, we've got some fan questions now, some from some celebrity names that you might have heard of, some you've probably toured with and things, and some from fans. We've got a mixture from Instagram and some from my Priest fan page on Facebook, Judas Priest UK Serbia, so a real mixture here. So first off, we got Michael Shaw. He was wondering, ever thought about doing a solo album?
Yes, lots of times, really. Only since leaving Priest, I think. When I was in the band, it was never really appealed to me, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because Rob was doing solo albums, Glenn was doing solo albums, I think that, if everybody goes off at different times to do solo albums, you never get anything done,
Exactly,
So no, I think about it, but really I was just dedicated to Priest. If I have some good musical ideas, I'm going to put it
That's good.
to Judas Priest.
That's a good effort, definitely.
Why should I put musical ideas on an album that's good enough for Priest? Why should I put those on a solo album?
Exactly, yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, Look after the mothership, the flagship, and the fleet will look after itself. So that was kind of my take on it.
Hey, this is Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.
There we have it. I think he's got a point there. If everyone does solo albums, what's the point? You might as well put it to your main band, But at the same time, I love a lot of Rob Halford's solo work. I never delved into Glenn Tipton's solo work too much, but I know it's Baptism of Fire, something like that. I think Glenn's album, and I believe he did. I might have heard a little bit of a Paint It Black. He did a cover of that, which I think is a Rolling Stones song, right? But yeah, it's a cover anyway. But yeah, he did a good job on that one. That was cool. But I think Rob's stuff obviously took off a lot more with Fight and Halford. Particularly for me, I love Fight, and obviously KK, since leaving Priest, and since this interview, he formed KK's Priest, a great band featuring Tim Ripper Owens, who sang with Judas Priest for a short while Rob was doing his Fight project and Halford and all that stuff. Ripper stood in for I think 10 years, and he released the albums Jugulator and Demolition with Judas Priest. He's a screamer. He's got a great scream vocal on him. I think most people kind of just want to hear Rob with Judas Priest. There's a lot of diehard fans who don't want to hear anyone else singing. I'm kind of like that. Priest is my band and Rob is the voice for me, but I love Ripper's voice. I love Jugulator. I heard him sing that live in Bristol and it was insane. It's a fantastic song, fantastic voice, and those albums are great. I never delved into them that much, but I've heard bits and pieces of them like Jugulator, Burn in Hell, and some other ones, and they're great songs. There's some great songs on those albums, and particularly live they shine. Hearing Ripper sing live, there's some blistering heavy metal tracks, and it is a part of Judas Priest, although it's kind of been erased. Those albums aren't even available anymore, which is very odd. I find that strange, because it was a period of Judas Priest. It was under the name Judas Priest. There's no dispute in that, but they don't want to have it as like a key part of Judas Priest, although it was, which is strange. But there's a lot of fans out there who love Ripper. When I did a gig here back a bit, I was chatting with fans after and stuff, and they were saying, love Ripper, I was telling them about a song I did where Ripper featured on my song Razor Edge, and I was telling them about that, and they were saying, I prefer Ripper's voice to Rob's, and I was like, really? To me that baffled me, because I love Ripper's voice. I love, he's got a great voice, but I love Rob's voice as Judas Priest. For me, he is the voice of Judas Priest. There's no other way to look at it. But I respect Ripper's period completely with the band, because he did a great job, and at least he was a screamer. Different kind of voice. He didn't kind of have the depth of Rob's voice in sort of ballads and things like that. so much. You know, he did sing ballads and things, but I don't think it's where he shined. More the screaming stuff, you know, maybe higher vocals than Rob in some areas, and more blistering power, you know, behind his high notes possibly than Rob. When you hear him sometimes it's pure powerhouse, but you know, Rob had that too. You know, he's known for that, obviously. That's why he's the metal god, and you know, we all love his stuff. Painkiller, blistering album, you know. But what I'm getting to is Ripper joined KK on KK's Priest, a new sort of formation, not too new now, they've been around a few years, but you know, a formation of KK's with Ripper on vocals. You've got Tony Newton on bass, AJ Mills on second guitar, and you've got Sean Elg on drums. And yeah, they're a really powerful band. I was really impressed when I saw them in Birmingham, and I had a drink with KK after the show and caught up with him because I interviewed him, as you just heard, you know, a few years previous, and I always kept in touch with him. So yeah, it was great having a drink with him, and you know, it was a proper celebration, a great metal gig, and great to see the man himself, you know, after the show. He's a really cool guy and great guitar player. So yeah, love KK's Priest. If you haven't bothered to listen to it yet, because I know some fans are a bit stuck in their ways, especially when you're of a certain era, you kind of don't want to hear anything new and other formations. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'll just stick on Defenders of the Faith and, you know, and Sad Wings of Destiny and stick with that, you know. But it's good to keep up to date sometimes because he's done some great music, and you know, if you're a fan of those Ripper era songs, then this is like another level of that. It's even better, I think. You know, personally, I think it's better music than what they did as Judas Priest with Ripper. These albums are very high energy, very less of the down tuning thing going on, which was more of a 90s thing. I think when metal was changing, they kind of went in a down tune direction. But yeah, I love what KK's Priest are doing. Check it out. I'll play a song now, which is kind of a celebration, I think, of, you know, the unity of being in a band. And I would think that KK's talking about his time in Judas Priest and with his bandmates, and you know, the time you share together, the life you share together, and yeah, it's a really cool song, and yeah, it's for those bands that are still rocking out on the road, and you know, they're brothers of the road.
Morning lights, still with
There we go. Love it. Really cool. I love those harmonies in the middle there. Beautiful guitar harmonies. Ripper's voice is great, as always. You know, he's such a professional. I remember when he sang on my song, it was so easy. You know, I gave him a rough guide of what I was going for. You know, I sang into my phone and just sent him a little voice note saying this is kind of how I'm thinking it's going to be sang. And he just nailed it, absolutely nailed it. I'll play you my song with Ripper, which I wasn't going to do, but I think it's very in keeping with this theme of brothers on the road, because this is a song about all being on the road and rocking, but it's on the Razor Edge. It's called Razor Edge, and it's a driving song, it's a biker song. It's that kind of vibe, so I think it'd be a good one for you to hear right now. I hope you enjoy it. It was quite an old song for me now. It's quite just classic rock kind of vibe, similar to that track we've just heard, kind of in ethos and just a rocking song that you want to put on when you're cruising down the highway. So let's take a listen to this one, and I hope you enjoy Razor Edge featuring Tim Ripper Owens.
When your time is up, nothing left to see. You've taken everything away from me. I'm on that razor edge, dreaming of that new tomorrow. Can't slow me down. Riding fast and free, fulfill my destiny. I'm on that open road, there is no stopping me. I'm on that razor edge, dreaming of a new tomorrow. Can't slow me down. I'm on that. I'm on that razor. Dreaming of a new tomorrow, dreaming of a better day. I'm on that razor edge, dreaming of a new tomorrow. Can't slow me down. Now I will win the duel. I'm breaking all the laws. Open destiny, it's time to be set free. Gonna live my life like I'm somebody. Riding fast and free, fulfill my destiny. I'm on that open road, there is no stopping me. I'm on that razor edge, dreaming of a new tomorrow. Can't slow me down. Razor. I'm on that razor edge, dreaming of a new tomorrow. Can't slow me down. I'm on that razor edge, dreaming of a new tomorrow, dreaming of a better day. On that razor edge, razor edge, razor
And there we have it, Razor Edge. Hope you enjoyed that one. That's my song, Metal Matt, with Tim Ripper Owens. just thought I'd show off a bit of Ripper's great vocals there. And it was great to have him on the song. I kind of just wanted to do a straightforward rock song, you know. I thought when I was doing it, I'm not going to try and, you know, do any showy vocals, you know. Some of my songs I'm screaming out all the time and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, I've kind of got a similar vocal style as that kind of area. I mean, I got a few screams in this song that you might have heard, you know, and I love using that scream vocal, kind of high notes and stuff. But this song is more about, you know, just a rocking song to slap on when you're you know, driving, cruising along. And you know, I think it's got that vibe, and I love what Ripper did. I wanted to really give him a chance to show off his vocals and have some great Ripper vocals on my track. So yeah, that was a cool one. And on the theme of KK's Priest, you know, I thought that was pretty in keeping, and I hope you enjoyed that. So yeah, I hope maybe one day I'll work with him again. But it was cool. When I saw KK after the gig in Birmingham, Ripper was there too, and yeah, it was cool to see him. And yeah, I've had a photo with him and that, and we did a little video together going Razor Edge, because we'd never been together, and sort of talked about that song. So I said, let's do a little video going Razor Edge, and we did. So that was fun. And yeah, I was just thinking, there was another time when I met KK, and we were hanging out, quite a few of us. It was like a gathering before we went to some show at the Steel Mill. It was a show with Doro and Michael Schenker, and KK invited me along, and there's a few other people there. I think Steve Golby, another guy who'd interviewed KK at different points, and sadly he passed away, I think I heard recently. And a few other people were there, and we were all kind of gathered in this I can't even remember what it was, but you know, like a big public space kind of thing. And yeah, we were all sort of around a table having a drink and stuff, and yeah, KK was there, and then Doro suddenly appeared, which was cool. And yeah, she was really happy to see KK and be able to see him, you know, and play the Steel Mill. And yeah, so that was cool. They were getting photos together, and I got a photo with KK and Doro, which was nice. And yeah, that was just a cool moment, which I was just remembering a minute ago. Yeah, not every day you get that. To see them all there together. It's funny how certain situations it all comes together, and yeah, when you least expect it. So it's quite a surreal day that, but great to see and meet Doro. I've never listened to her stuff in a big way, but you know, she's a talent, and it's cool to see them both together communicating, you know, KK and Doro. And yeah, he seemed to be a big fan of hers, and she played Breaking the Law that night as well, and it was quite surreal watching KK's opinion, well, not watching his opinion, but watching his reaction to Doro performing Breaking the Law. It was cool to see, you know. I was like a fly on the wall being there at the show with him, and yeah, it was a neat memory, that quite a while ago now, but it was fun. And yeah, it's cool to have kept in touch with KK. He's a really cool guy. They say never meet your heroes, but KK is definitely an exception. He's everything I'd hope he would be, you know. He's a very down to earth and genuine kind of guy. So yeah, yeah, support his music, keep blasting it, because the legends, you know, we've lost Ozzy recently, and you know, it's sad to see that, you know, all these rock stars are getting older and stuff, and you know, if any of them are still creating music, we need to really, you know, it brings it home with Ozzy how much we need these people, you know, and these legends who've made our lives and were the soundtrack of our lives, you know. Anything new they're doing, check it out, you know, and give it a good listen, because you know, they're still creating amazing stuff. And yeah, KK's Priest, you know, as you heard, great music there. I did meet some of the guys, because I'm here in Mexico living now. They come quite nearby on the Monsters of Rock cruise, I think it was last year, and KK's Priest were on the cruise, and it's only a boat trip away from me, and I love that island of Cozumel, so I thought, oh, let's go check out when they port and see if any of those guys get off the band. And I did see Tony Newton and AJ. Didn't see KK, unfortunately, I couldn't contact him, I guess because it was like over waters and stuff. It was probably not the best signal. I think those boats, you have to pay so much for Wi-Fi and stuff, and I think people end up not doing it. That's one of the little scams with some of these cruises, which people don't expect, Yeah, one of them were telling me that there's this really pricey Wi-Fi on the boat, So you pay for the cruise, but you don't get free Wi-Fi. So that's a killer, isn't it? But yeah, so I couldn't contact him, so that was unfortunate. It would have been great to meet him over here and see him here. But I met some of the other guys, Tony Newton, AJ, and yeah, they signed a cap that I had, which I gave away as like a gift to someone. I thought that'd be cool. So that was just neat seeing them in Cozumel, and then I went off snorkeling. It's a beautiful island here, really, really beautiful place. Just off of Playa del Carmen, quite a popular tourist destination here, but I don't enjoy Playa del Carmen. It's very chaotic, constant people trying to sell you stuff and get money off you, and yeah, Cancun's a bit like that down here, but not as intense always. It's extremely intense. I don't know why anyone would go to that area, but Cozumel's beautiful. Got some beautiful islands around here. Isla Mujeres, another favourite. You've got Holbox, which is a little bit further out, and I went there with my wife, and it flooded the day we arrived from the sea. Not rain or nothing. It was that we were near the sea, and suddenly the sea was near us. It was right up to our hotel room. Right up. We were just one level up, and it was rising the water up to the stairs. You couldn't go out. It was getting higher and higher, and I was like, if this is going to get any higher, we're pretty stuck. And it was pretty worrying. That was a scary experience, being on Holbox, and it's usually a beautiful place to visit, but in our experience it was pretty crazy. I remember the night before I was looking for reptiles and stuff at night with a torch, and I saw a nice snake as soon as I stepped out of our room. Beautiful little brown snake, and some toads and frogs and stuff, and there's a chance they were more active and around because they knew something was coming. Obviously animals often sense things are coming, and it was very unpredictable. Nobody was expecting that flood. We went at the worst time. We had I think one night there, and then the following night, it might have even been the same night we arrived, it started coming, the water, and yeah, we had a pretty bad time just stuck in the room and wading through the water, which you didn't know what was in the crocodiles, all sorts. But yeah, anyway, Mexico's great, and most of the time, but yeah, you got to be careful. There's crocodiles here and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, great to see Kega's Brisbane when they came to Cozumel. It was just a bit of luck, really. I managed to see them when they were getting off the cruise, so that was cool, and I thought I'd play you some more stuff now. I got quite a kind of eclectic mix of heavy metal today to give you a good broad spectrum for those who love different kinds of metal, because I know we're not all just straightforward metalheads. Some people love their black metal, thrash metal, classic heavy metal. That's more my style, but I love some black metal as well. Classic and black metal are probably my two things that really does it for me, So yeah, I've got a real mixture of songs today, I thought I'd, on the kind of subject of Ozzy, as I mentioned him a minute ago, I think, I usually do, recently, obviously, I've been talking about him a lot, because I love him, but it's passing, obviously with his passing, it's been something that's everyone's thinking about, everyone's watching him. In fact, today I've been watching Ozzy Reacts to Crazy Internet Stunts. It's a little podcast thing he was doing with his friend, who's a musician, I believe, and yeah, it's great just hearing Ozzy and watching him, and obviously the Osbournes. I've been watching a bit of his Jack and Ozzy's detour where him and Jack are travelling the world. That was very cool. It's kind of a history show, but with Ozzy, because he loves his history, and You know, they went to see the origin of blues. They went to like the NASA base, all sorts of places. Graceland didn't want them. They were going to go to Graceland, and they said they didn't want them to go, so they didn't, which was pretty weird. But apparently Ozzy had been there a couple of times and he was drunk or something, so maybe that was why. Yeah, that's something they were saying. But yeah, watch the show, it's great. I recently heard that they pulled a documentary which was going to go out about Ozzy, which everyone was waiting for in England on the BBC. There was going to be a documentary about, I think, their move to England, because they moved back to England when Ozzy kind of got into bad health and spent their last kind of time together here. In one of their houses here, or it might be their only house here, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's the same house you see on the Osbournes sometimes when Jack went to England, and it's also where he was buried. You know, Ozzy was buried there, underneath a tree, I think is what his request was, which is very nice. You know, and he's there, you know, by the lake, you know, what better resting place than that, you know. And yeah, Ozzy, being the legend he is, you know, everyone loves him, you know, people in the industry, everyone seems to just love him, and people who aren't in the industry, you know, actors, I've seen so much love for Ozzy from people you wouldn't even expect, you know. So yeah, it's great to see, and I thought I found something cool the other day, which I think is probably from around Rob Halford's fight period. Rob Halford of Judas Priest, of course, he loves Ozzy and loves Black Sabbath. He probably loves Judas Priest as well, but yeah, he loves Black Sabbath and Ozzy. And I found a version which probably no one's heard who's listening now, because it's pretty rare, and it's I think it's by the Bullring Brummies, I think they call themselves. Obviously, reference to the Bullring in Birmingham. I don't exactly know what this project was, but I think it features Rob Halford on vocals, and I think it was Brian Tills, the guitarist of Fight, one of the guitarists of Fight. Obviously, Russ Parrish is the other one, Brian Tills, I believe, is playing on this, and it is a Black Sabbath cover. It's of The Wizard, which is a fantastic song. I think that's off the first Black Sabbath album, The Wizard. Ozzy playing some harmonica and stuff on it. Very, very cool. You'll hear more about that song on the Jack and Ozzy Detour show if you get a chance to watch it. When they go to Mississippi and all these places to see the origin of blues. Yeah, The Wizard. There's a cool little harmonica thing which is worth watching. In that show, little harmonica section of the show. So yeah, check that out if you get a chance. And for now, we've got The Wizard with the metal god Rob Halford.
sunny shadow, weaving his spell. Honey claws, twinkling bell. Never talking, just keeps walking, spreading his magic.
Rob Halford version. I had great vocals, Rob really shows off, why he is the metal god. He's got such a great voice, great sense of melody, you can really hear that in his singing, and such a unique voice. I love it, and I love that version, I think, obviously nothing beats Ozzy, he's the legend, but it's great to hear people paying homage to Ozzy. This is an old one, like I say, from I think around the Fight period, so probably the 90s, maybe 92, 93, I don't know, that kind of period I'd imagine. But yeah, really cool version, and I don't know how I stumbled across it, but I'm always finding these kind of little gems, so it's a little gem for you here on Metal Stream Radio. Hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, talking about that period, it's a great period for metal, and obviously Rob Halford did something different with Fight. He went to try something completely different to Judas Priest, and yeah, they had some really face tearing, is that a term, or face melting, metal, really in your face, screaming, extreme heavy metal, great riffs, very kind of aggressive kind of thing, and it was a really, really cool period. And I've got a cool song by Fight up next, which is one that I remember. It's not one that's talked about that much, but I remember it on the War of Words. I had the Demos album first, and that's the one I really got into, and I think there's a few extra songs on that one. I can't remember if this one ended up on the the Proper War Words album. I think it did, but it was certainly on the demos one that I had. There's a little song called Psycho Suicide, which is really cool. And I've got a little message from the guitarist Russ Parrish for you all here on Metal Stream Radio. He took some time out just to send you all a little message. So here you go from Russ Parrish.
Hey, this is Russ Parrish, formerly from the band Fight. You might remember me from Fight. I was 12 when I did that band, and now I'm in my late 70s. Enjoy listening to some Fight right now. That's back where I can really play fast. All right, bye.
There we go. He's always a joker, old Russ. He's he's always got a good sense of humour. So on that note, let's hear it. Bit of Psycho Suicide. What a banger. See, that is some true heavy metal right there. And yeah, I think that was such a great period of Rob Halford's career. We got some other stuff coming up. Lots of music, which I think you're going to know. We got some Metallica, some Scorpions, but I won't give it all away. But yeah, lots of cool stuff coming. We got a little message from JJ of Fight as well, guys. So quite a treat for you today. Here's just something he wanted to say for Metal Stream Radio.
This is JJ of Fight, and you're watching Metal Stream Radio.
He was kind enough to do that for us, and obviously Russ, legendary guitar player, great to have a little message from him as well. You know, he's such a great talent, and yeah, I just love that live album, not the live album, the Demos album is one I particularly love. It's got Into the Pit, Now to the Gun, How You Die, I think is one of the songs. There's a few new ones, Life in Black, Kill It, Contortion, Forbidden, a few that didn't make it on the classic War of Words album. War of Words, Psycho Suicide, which I think was on both albums. Down, Vicious, Beast Denies, that's a really good one. The Beast Denies! It's that kind of vocal. The Beast Denies You! Very cool. Laid to Rest, Jesus Saves, that's another favourite. Dead Men Talk, or Dead Men Tell. Don't remember that one very well. It's been a while since I've listened to this album, but I used to live off it. I love this stuff. And For All Eternity, which is a beautiful ballad by Fight. So yeah, it's called K5 and it's the War of Words Demos. I highly recommend getting that album if you get a chance, because it's really rocking, I promise you. If you just love, you know, proper thrashing kind of heavy metal, you know, it's probably thrash metal, but it's different. It's you know, it's hard to genre, but it's just unique, and I think that's something. If you can do something unique in metal, you're doing something good, because you know, so many bands kind of sound like each other these days. You know, when you have something unique, that's where the magic is. So yeah, a great bit of Fight there. So next up, I'm going to play a cool song by Cronos. This is Cronos of Venom, of course, Conrad Lant, straight out of Newcastle. You may remember those boys back in the day with the black metal, the inventors of black metal. You know, black metal being their debut album, you know, self-titled, you know, black metal. You know, it's the genre, self-titled, you know. They pretty much defined the genre and invented the genre when they made that album. You know, they were the originals. They were kind of just faster and heavier than anything else that was happening. You know, I think there was influence from like bands like Motorhead and things like that, but Venom took it to a totally different place, you know, with the dark lyrics, Cronos' very evil voice, Mantis, amazing guitar player. I've interviewed him, which was great. He's such a great guy to chat with. We chatted for like an hour and a half or something, and we were so on each other's page, you know, talking about spirituality and all sorts of things you wouldn't imagine a black metal guy would be talking about. Kittens and, you know, loads of things. So yeah, it's worth seeing that if you get a chance. That's on my channel on YouTube, Metal Matt. But I'll be putting things like that on Metal Stream Radio. That will be coming up, so keep tuning in every Friday and Saturdays. Fridays 8 p.m. UK time, Saturdays 6 p.m. UK time, or 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on the Saturday if you're in the US. And yeah, you can listen worldwide. Obviously, Metal Stream Radio here is an online radio station. It's great because, you know, we can reach everybody. Everyone can tune in. All the metalheads around the world, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, note those times down. Once again, for you, it's 8 p.m. on the Fridays and 6 p.m. on the Saturday. That's UK time, but you can work it out in where you are around the world. 1 p.m. on the Saturday for Eastern Daylight Time. So yeah, there we go. Hope you had your pens at the ready there. So yeah, great to be with you. I love doing this show. I love talking about heavy metal. I've got so many stories. I've met lots of rock stars. I've had lots of stories myself. And as a singer-songwriter, you know, I hope to give you all some kind of little bits of advice sometimes, and some kind of things you wouldn't know, you know, some little gems of, you know, things I've learned and picked up on as being a musician, and things you just learn, you know, in this life of being a musician, you know, and you know, being around musicians and meeting a lot of well-known musicians, you know, there's a lot of things I've learned and things I hope to kind of help you guys, you know, find out a bit more about, a bit more behind the curtain kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, great to be with you. Like I said, we've got so much metal today. I'm just trying to think what's the best song to go with, but yeah, like I said, we've got Cronos up now, and it is a really cool song from his solo catalogue. It's one called Babylon, and yeah, this album was fantastic. And yeah, his voice is insane. I love his vocal style, quite different to what he did with Venom in some ways, but you've still got that classic Venom voice, you know, but he's got these cool screams, you know, this wah, as you'll hear. So let's hear Babylon by Cronos.
Secretly spoken, soothing is the breeze, body synchronization, slides on satin sheets, dinner of opium, and electricity, crimson skies unveiling in perfect harmony. I have lived forever and a day. Still the words are written in the flames. Fires in my eyes. Flames are still alive. Just with the liquid pores over open lips. Slowly as the talon claws, and jealous for the drips. Agitating melodies, candles in the wind. Story pages bare empty, engraved in your sin. I have watched forever come and go. Still I read the answers and I know. Fires in my eyes. City built on lies. Fires in my eyes. Flames are still alive. Agitating melodies, candles in the wind, satin air of opium, engraved in your sins.
Wow, what a voice. I think that's got to be one of my favourite songs ever.